I'm going to teach you today how to install coilover sleeves onto aftermarket struts. Now the first thing you want to do is, if you have a plastic top on the piece here, top of your strut, pop it off. Now one thing you want to do is find this little piece of metal here, and sometimes they're flat, silver, kind of wide. Sometimes they're like this. Basically all this is a little metal sleeve that the coilover sleeve slides into to hold everything steady. That's all it is. It just sits on the top there, holds it in place. So what we're going to do first is we're going to get one of our larger O-rings and we're going to slide it on the bottom of the strut, like so. Then we're going to find a little piece of metal again. You want to make sure it's set upwards so that the sleeve can slide into it, and drop it on. Sit right there. Alright. Now here's something that may be different on some different struts. Is if your strut does not have this dip where you have a different size, like the tube is straight, it doesn't have this little indentation in it, you may need to use 3 of the same small O-rings. Now you may want to buy more O-rings if you want a little bit more stability in it. I use 3 O-rings on my setup, and since mine has this little dip in it, I'll use 2 small ones and 1 medium one. And what this is going to do is it's going to hold the sleeve in place so that it doesn't wobble, because if you just slide the coilover sleeve on there now, you'll see there's like a lot of play in the sleeve itself. It'll move around a lot, and you can't have that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a small O-ring on, move it down a little ways. Next O-ring, move it down a little ways. We're going to find the little bit bigger one, put it right about here. And the hardest part is kind of leveling them out, because you want them kind of level, and the reason being is because when you slide the sleeve over the top of these, they're going to move down. They're going to actually push downward, so they will slide with the sleeve when it goes on. Alright, so that's good. So now we're going to install the sleeve. One thing you want to do is look at where your struts are going to connect to the car, because you have numbers on the sides of the sleeve sometimes, and if you do, you want to make sure those are pointed to the outside so that you can read them by just looking up under there. But we're going to go ahead and just stick them on there for right now, just for all intents and purposes. I'm just going to slide it on, and what you want to do is slide it on there slow. Just allow it to slowly drop. Make sure that when you're pushing down on it, you don't aim this piece directly into your chest. Aim it kind of to the side a little bit so you don't impale yourself if you slip. Alright, so now we have it on there pretty good. Now it doesn't matter if you have a little bit of play right here on this little metal sleeve that we had. If you got a little bit of play in it, don't worry about it. When the car lowers down on there, it's definitely going to push it down, and it's going to make a tight grip, and it's going to basically fall into place. Everything will be fine. So now you want to put a little top cap back on your strut there. Get that back in place, a little dust cap. Now it comes to a place where I am missing something. So what we're missing is we're missing the isolator pad, which is basically a large flat O-ring that goes on the upper and lower part of the spring. So here and here. They basically sit here, and they are missing. They weren't in the shipping when I ordered the springs, so we'll have to order some of those. But you put those on first, then you put the spring on top, put another one here, And then before we put the top hat on, you're going to actually get your bump stops out and drop the bump stops on. So now the bump stops are in place. They're here. Get the spring off, bump stops, spring, and then this little cap on. You're gonna put your top hats on that are basically the top of the spring, and in some cases you won't need this because the actual the real upper top hat that basically slides on here with the 2 bolts or 4 or however many bolts that mounts to the vehicle is going to go here. So if you have this plastic top hat, I mean, you can add it on there, it's not going to hurt anything, but there you go. So that's a fully assembled spring ready to be installed. As you see on this one, I left the bump stops on top because it'll hold it together at least till I get it ready to go on the car. And if you're going to do it that way, you just pull the screw off the top, slide this top hat off, drop the bump stops in place, slap your top hat that mounts to the upper of the vehicle, and you're ready to go. So that's pretty much how you install, like put them together, and then I'll do an install video later of actually putting them on the vehicle. Alright, take it easy.